Hello and welcome. This is a very quick walkthrough of ChatGPT just to give you an idea of the functionality. We're not going to be doing a deep dive into any one thing in particular. We're going to be focusing on the platform as a whole and all of the different functionality that's available within it so that you can dive in a little bit yourself, figure things out, but don't worry, we will do more detailed videos on various different aspects of ChatGPT. Okay, so we're going to jump in now. And actually, interesting fact that I do like to share with people is if you just go to chat.com, that will take you to ChatGPT. They recently purchased, or I say recently, a little while ago, purchased chat.com for a cool 15 million off of the person that owned HubSpot. I just find that a very interesting fact there. So you can go to chat.com and then you'll be greeted with the ChatGPT interface. I'm going to go through all of the different functionality or some of the functionality that's available within each one of the chats and all of the other stuff that's available through the side menu. So what you can see is this is what will happen when you go to a new chat and you've got the different options available to you here. So you've got a transcribe. So if you dictate that, I can speak and it will just basically transcribe that information. You can click use voice and you can have a conversation with it and it will speak back to you and you can choose your voice as well. I'll show you where to do that as well. And then you've got the plus buttons, which is going to include lots of different functionality, which we're going to go through in just a second. So I'm going to run through all of the different tools that are available on the left-hand side, and then we're going to dive into the chat and you can see what's available in there as well. Okay, so you've got your new chat, as I've just mentioned. You've got search chats, so you can go through all of your different chats that you've done before. Any images that you have created and stored will be available within here. And then you've got apps. This is actually a really cool feature within ChatGPT where you can connect a whole world of different apps. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Airtable, but it's a very good database tool. You can connect your Apple Music, Booking.com, Figma, loads and loads of different apps that are available directly within here. What that means is that data, so if I go for Spotify, for example, that data is going to be available within GPT. So now I can ask for songs, artists, or playlists and play them in Spotify. So then it allows it to connect directly to it. So it's pretty cool. And then it can find podcasts and stuff like that. So I could be like, go and find me a playlist on X, Y, and Z. And it would be able to do that directly within Spotify. So pretty cool. Some of the functionality that's available within ChatGPT there. So definitely worth having a play and seeing if there are any apps that you want to connect to see if you might be able to save yourself a bit of time or just make your life a little bit easier with the different apps that are available there. Well worth exploring. Okay, so then you've got deep research. So if I click on there, this is specifically to do a deep dive into various different topics. And as you can see, I can connect different apps and I can connect my Google Drive, my Google Calendar, and then I can choose specific websites if I want as well within the deep research. This is one of the tools that are available. And this is just going to take like 10-15 minutes to go off and do a deep dive. So if I said something like, what is the adoption rate of AI in the UK? Right, so then I'll go off and it will take 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, to do a very, very deep dive into that specific topic. It's going to go to a multitude of different websites and it will give me the option as I start that. So I'm just going to go start. I'm not going to worry about this at the moment, but of course I can choose some of those and make it a little bit more specific if I want. So you can see that that's going to be researching and that's going to take quite some time to finish, right? So we might be able to come back to that at the end of the chat. So I'm going to move on. And then here what you've got is GPTs. So if I click onto there, you can see we've made lots of random GPTs. And if I click into Explore GPTs, essentially this is the GPT's version of a custom section of GPT. They're called something different everywhere. So you've got gems, your GPTs, agents in Copilot, pages in Perplexity, I think projects in Claude. So they're all called something slightly different just to make things really easy. But essentially what it is a set of instructions that it will follow every single time. So rather than coming to a chat and training that chat every time or trying to get the results that you want every time, you're going to give a set of instructions to this specific GPT. So if I click create, and don't worry, we'll go and we'll do a deep dive onto how to create these, but you give it a set of instructions and it will follow those instructions every time. The way that I kind of liken this is, imagine if you've got a permanent member of staff and a temporary member of staff. Temporary team come in, you have to train them on the day, you get them used to it, and then they leave. So if you get another temporary member of staff, it's the same situation. When you realize that you need that gap filled, or that you're using a temporary member of staff regularly, that's when you start to think, I need a permanent member of staff. And that's when you can go, right, same situation. I'm doing this over and over again. I need to create myself a GPT because I need someone to help me with my marketing emails, or I need someone to help me with my, social media posts or whatever else that might look like. Okay, so that's the real difference there, and it's just about giving it a set of instructions. We will dive in and we will create a video, but the really cool thing is lots and lots of people have created GPTs, so you can just do a bit of a search, for example, and then you can potentially find one that will help you with your marketing that's already built, and you can have a look at it and see, and I get an idea for the responses and so on and so forth that have been come out of that. And you can actually create these and share these as well, so if somebody finds it, they might be able to find your business and the information within that as well. So they can be really cool, and they could potentially work as some sort of market material, and you can share those out accordingly. But you can sort of flick through all of those different available categories and have a little play around with that. Then you've got projects. Now, projects is essentially a folder. So when you click into new projects, you're essentially going to create a folder, and you can add lots and lots of different information, resources, files, and it's going to be about that specific topic. So if you're taking on a new project, that's why it's called projects, you can essentially attach everything within there. So for me, if I'm doing a big research piece, or if I'm writing an article or something along those lines, or if I'm wanting to add specific pieces to the website, I can create a project, and I might call that AI governance, and then within that I'm going to attach lots of AI governance documents, and then I'm going to do lots of research on AI governance, and that's what it's going to be focused on. And then whenever I go to that, that is the primary focus of that particular project. So whenever I'm querying the AI, it's going to be specific to that. Okay, so really, really useful when you want to keep it specific, but add lots and lots of content as well. Now, group chats has been added as well, which is a really cool functionality. That means that you and other people can all be involved in one AI chat, which is really, really cool. So you can share that chat out. We'll jump into that shortly, because I'm going to give you a bit of a walkthrough of all of the different chat functionality when you do that. But really, really cool features. And then, of course, you've got your chats as well. So you can click on that and you can see all of your previous chats. Okay, so that's the functionality there. Now I'm going to go into this part here, which is personalization. And we're going to talk about the settings that are available within here. In particular, we want to focus on those privacy settings as well, because as standard, generally, it's going to be training on your data, whether you're on the free or the paid version. So I'm just going to come into settings here, and this also includes the personalization, which you saw there as well. And in the general, you can do things like change it to dark or light mode, accent color you can change, language, spoken language, etc. And then you can change your voice, as I mentioned, so you can change your voice in here. And then if you want a separate voice, you can keep your GPT voice in separate full screen, etc. Right? So all of the functionality in there. You've got your notifications, self-explanatory. You can decide if you've got the app whether or not you want push notifications, or whether you just want push email, email push, whatever you want. And then it tells you, as you see here, you can choose which ones you want for each of those. Personalization is where you get really fun. So you can actually decide the tone of voice. So mine's just set for default, but you can choose professional, friendly, candid, quirky, etc. Characteristics, you can choose warm, enthusiastic. Headers and lists, so you can just sort of do more or less in this. So if you want like headers and lists, as it says, you can do that. I've chosen less emojis because I find them outrageously annoying, too many emojis. And then my custom instructions are banter and brutal honesty, and a bit of sarcasm, please. I want a truly British experience. So you scroll down, you can do a nickname. I've got AI architect, and then more about me if I want to do that. Manage memory, so I can turn on any reference memories. And then record things. If I click into advanced, you've got a few more of those bits in there. So you've got web search, canvas, GPT voice, all of those different things. So you don't really need to mess around with this, but if you want to personalize it a lot, then you can. Then if I click into apps, I've got the ability to connect up my Google Drive. I can then create an app again that's more advanced. We can do a feature on that, and then you can add more apps. As I showed you, those things are available in there. And then you've got schedules. So one of the things that you can do in GPT and pretty much all of the language models that are available is you can ask it, right, can you run this for me once a day or once a month or whatever that might look like. If I click on manage, then you'll see that I've got the one there, which is just research AI news. And all I did to get that was ask GPT every single Monday or every single day at 9 a.m, run a search on AI news and give me the summary. And then what will happen is I'll get an email and I'll get a push notification when that's done, nice and easy. So we're going to go back into the settings tab here. We're going to go back down to schedules because that's where we were. You would obviously manage that in there. Then you've got data controls here. So this is one of the key things. So where it says improve model for everyone, if you don't want your data to be used to train those language models, you need to turn this off. It is usually turned on by default. So just be careful, be sure, because if you're using these models, any data that you put into it is in theory then being added to the knowledge repository that it has. And while it's unlikely that that will be shared anywhere else, it could still become a part of the knowledge base. So you've got that there. Remote browser data. So obviously remember the set data between sessions. I've got that on for the time being. That's no issue for me. And then shared links. So anytime you share a chat, the shared links are going to be in here. You can archive your chats. So you can see all your archived ones, you can archive all of them, you can delete all, and you can export data as well. So if you did want to move to another language model, this is how you go to do it. Then you've got security, basic stuff, authenticator app if you want to turn that on, manage your password, log out all devices, etc. Parenting controls, again, if you've got a family member, you can go ahead and add those in there as well. And if I click on my account, you can see that I'm just on GPT Plus. Okay, nice and easy, very, very quick whistle stop tour. You can add in your social links, you can add in your website, all of the rest of that stuff as well. This is a personal account that I'm using, so I've just got it on a paid personal account, but there is the option to have a company account as well. So if I wanted to do a company account, but personal account works for us, we use Claude most of the time, and the functionality that we need available in here is on the personal account, which works for us. Okay, so we're going to go into a new chat, and I'm going to walk you through the functionality available within here as well. I'm going to click on this little plus button because this is where the magic happens. You can attach photos and files. I can connect from Google Drive. As I mentioned, that's our go-to. We are a Google-based company, but you can also connect to Microsoft as well. Then you can create images, self-explanatory. Deep research you can access directly through the chat as well. You don't necessarily need to click that. And the same thing will happen, as you'll see. It will just basically have that come up there, and you get the option to choose apps. You get the option to choose sites. Again, nice and easy. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to exit that. And then I can go shopping research. It's a lot of fun if you like your shopping. It's specifically going to go and be looking for items that you want, and then it's going to show up and you can scroll through and eventually be able to purchase directly through GPT. I believe that's being piloted across America at the moment. You've got standard web search, then you've got the additional options here. So if I click on there, you've got study and learn, and essentially what that does is it stops from giving you the answer. It actually tries to help you get to the answer yourself. Agent mode, which is by far my favorite bit of functionality available within GPT. What this will do, if I click on that as well, again, you can connect apps too. This is going to open up its own browser. So find me AI businesses. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So agent mode will actually open up its own browser. So you should be able to see that in just a second. And rather than just pulling from a repository of information or just search results, this is going to open up a desktop. It's going to run the search. It's going to be very recent. I tend to find that results are much more accurate, much more recent as well, because it's actually opening up and fulfilling that task, and it's choosing specific places to find that knowledge. Whereas if you're asking it a question and it's pulling that from a huge repository of information, it's much more likely to hallucinate. And a hallucination is basically when it tells you a bit of a fib, right? And then it will justify that fib. As you can see, it's running the search inside its own browser, inside its own, essentially a desktop, and it will go and it will do that for you. Really, really good bit of functionality. In fact, my favorite piece of functionality. We will do a video specifically on that as well, so don't worry. So coming back here, agent mode, add sources, pretty self-explanatory. So if I want to add sources, I can basically request that it does that, and then that's going to make sure that it pulls all of the information out and gives me the sources of those information as well. So that's nice and easy so that you can pull that. Generally speaking, it should do that most of the time, but of course they must have added this in just to really reiterate when you need that information as well. So hopefully that will improve the quality of it. Then you've got Canvas and quizzes. Canvas, similar situation. So write me a poem, right? So we're just going to get it to write a poem. It's not got a lot of context there, and it's going to be writing a random poem. And then you've got the canvas there. If I click edit, it'll open up in here, and then we can edit in the canvas once that's done. And you can essentially use it as a collaborative partner. So I can highlight, ask ChatGPT, and then I can write my own stuff in here as well. Really, really useful when you want to work quickly. Okay, super powerful tool. Little button in the corner here so you can make additional changes. Again, we will do a more detailed video about this. I'm just going to go back to new chat again, and you can see all of those different things that are available there as well. So just to give you a bit of a flavor of what's possible, again, we will be going into these in more detail. Please go and explore what's possible. Really, really cool functionality within there as well. A couple of things I didn't touch on that I'm just going to touch on now. So this is where you find your group chat. So if you click on that, you can start a group chat. And if you click on that, you can start a temporary chat. So that's then not going to be saved in your history. And then if I go through to a random chat here as well. So if I go to AI business, not finished. So AI adoption in the UK, not finished either. So if I do daily AI news updates, that's finished. I can then come here, and there's a few different bits of functionality within here as well. So I can copy the response, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I can share that response. I can try again, and I can click this action, and I can branch it into a new chat. Now, this is a really cool new feature that they've added in, which means if you are reaching your context window. If you're at a point where there's too much information in your chat and it says you can't continue this chat anymore, you can branch that into a new chat, and that is then going to save some of the context of that conversation, and then hopefully make it a little bit easier for you to continue the conversation there as well. Okay, so very, very quick whistle stop tour. Go and explore, stay curious, because curiosity really is the key to this. It's just about asking questions. And if you do have any questions for us, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have any specific requests on training videos, let us know in the portal and we will be able to get those sorted for you. Enjoy.